welcome, you guys. I'm here. I'm back here. Don't mind me. I'm on camera, but I'm not going to give y'all a close up, okay? It's a little bit of a struggle bus. It's a little bit of a struggle bus. Before we get started, please, as you come into the room, guys, let me know if you can hear me. Hold on. Is that? I think that's right. I'll go back to that later. Let me know if you can hear me and if you can see me okay. Also like the video, comment down in the comment sections, give me your thoughts on the reunion. Yeah, it gave what it normally gives. The rest of the season, share this video. We share your videos, please. Subscribe, and turn your notifications on because it's been a rough one. Also the Cash App and Venmo is there for those who would like to partake. Y'all, my apologies. My apologies. So the reunion was Sunday, and I knew there was no way I was going to get it Sunday or Monday, but I had it set for Tuesday, and then I came Monday with such a whirlwind time change, all of the things came in. I wasn't feeling well. I was like, nope. So Tuesday, it didn't actually, no, not Monday. Tuesday, I came home and wasn't feeling well. So it didn't happen on Tuesday. I posted on the community tab. That's why I tell you guys, check the community tab. Keep your notifications on because, life is like that, okay? Life is like that. And so I said I would have it for you guys on Wednesday. And yeah, your girl needed a little more recovery time than that. I'm actually still not feeling the way I want to, but we can't keep pushing things off. So here we are, and we're going to get into it. We're here for Love is Blind, Season 8, Episode 14, The Reunion. Like I said, the reunion gave what it normally gives. We don't normally get too much. People tend to complain about Vanessa and Nick, but it just, it is what it is. They didn't really cut people off as much as they normally like to. I feel like they left a couple of conversations just flapping in the breeze, but it's just how they, I don't want to say interview, how they ask questions is how they ask questions. I think they are beholden to doing it a certain way as per the network or, whoever is in charge of it. Ooh, sorry, this glitched real quick. Whoever's in charge of it. So I guess, we're going to get what we get. Hold on one second. All right, I just want to check my audio. Real quick. I mean, we didn't get any previous couples this reunion, so I was grateful for that. I don't mind when they're in the audience, making faces and stuff like that, or if they're going to actually ask questions, but when they kind of waste our time, when there's other things that we need to focus on, I don't really like that so much. So I was kind of glad we didn't have to be bothered with that this go round. Now the ladies stood on business at this reunion. Now, that's after a couple of them did spin the block, but I digress. We're going to get into it. Hopefully, I won't have you guys here too long. Let's talk about it. 5 years of Love is Blind, Love is Bland this season. Love is no seasoning. Love is, no DEI or any of that. And it doesn't look like it's going to get any better next season. I mean, typically we don't really have too many brown couples that make it to that make it out the pods that we get to see. So it is what it is. It just became very apparent on this season, and we got more of a conservative season. So there was that. But we made best with what we could. We were early on the jokes with Daniel and Taylor. Hopefully I got these slides right, y'all. I hope they're right. Oh, this is what they look like. Okay. Up close and personal. Up close and personal. Don't mind me. Oh, I changed the color on the top but not the bottom. Child, I'll be pressing buttons sometimes and I'll be making these slides for y'all. Okay? But Taylor was talking about, sometimes he follows me and then he unfollows me. So we're early with the IG jokes. You remember that was their whole big thing. Other than that, they were our unproblematic couple of the season. It's been a year for Daniel and Taylor, and they're still going strong. They love each other for who they are. Now, what was I going to say? When I first looked at these two, when I saw the reunion looks, which we'll talk about the looks as we go along, because I didn't do it at the end of the weddings. I didn't want to drag that video out, and I don't want to do a separate video. So we're just gonna, let's not drag Love is Blind out any further than we have to. So we'll get into it here. But when I saw the two of them, even before we saw the weddings, you could kind of tell they're coordinated. He looks very much, tux, bow tie. I like the look. The shoes are okay. He's looking good. She's got her sequence. I love a jumpsuit. So I was here for this look. You guys can get that in the comments and let me know what you thought of their outfits. But I was like, these two definitely look like they go together. Everybody else kind of, you could tell that they ain't make it because nobody's looks was coordinated. They was coordinated. They was matching, okay? So, we get their flashbacks of their last year. They're big into Christmas. They're very patriotic with the flags and whatnot. But it was very cute. We get all the scenes. So he says that he did not get that matching lip tattoo, baby. Okay, he didn't get the matching lip tattoo. I forgot she had that. And girl, Taylor, woo, what are we doing? Like, I wouldn't peg her for that, girl, but like I said, we're not going to drag this out. So he didn't get the lip tattoo yet, but he did get a tattoo on his chest of her eyes. And it wasn't just her eyes. I mean, I would have rather it just be her eyes. I think I'll actually put it on my thumbnail so you guys can take a look at it and see. Hold on, I'm going to come off camera 1 second and take my allergy medicine today. But he was kind of saying that was his favorite part of her at the reveal. He says a little bit more about it. I thought it was really cute. Creepy, but cute. Like I said, I would have liked maybe just the eyes and not this whole little piece. I am glitching like crazy. I hope my sound is good. Not this whole little piece we got. That's what he had on his chest. So we're going to double back to them a little bit later because, like I said, they were our boring couple. So because they're the couple that made it, we had to talk about them first out the gate. But we'll circle back to them a little bit later to round this whole thing out. But we'll move forward with Virginia and Devin. Now, when I saw these two, seeing from how we left and a little bit of gossip I gave you at the end of the wedding, I thought it was going to be a little bit more drama. Her voice is still soft. Virginia's voice is always soft. But the one that she has with Devin, the super, super soft one, the super soft one was out the window, y'all, okay? Super soft voice, no more, okay? Sorry, I was trying to fix my camera and not knock it over. I think we're good. Love her dress. Love the lavender. Body's bodying. Love the slit. His outfit. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? And somebody said that, like, you could tell that these two did not get married because no black woman is going to have her man looking like this with these wide leg pants. Your chest says it's out. I don't even know what's going on here. You guys give me your thoughts on their looks. So we start talking to them. Hold on 1 second, you guys. Like the video really quickly. All right, y'all, my apologies. I'm back. My son was futzing around, that oldest one sometimes. Girl, breathe. In the background, and the microwave and everything was going. So we're moving on. We start asking Virginia the questions, and Virginia says that, they were not in alignment on some important things like his core values. We knew that. We talked about that in the last recap and a little bit before that. I'm not sure which one. When we started finding out his political views, we started to kind of lay things out there. She says she's not comfortable discussing his views, but let me be clear about mine. I said, okay, because Virginia said I'm a cook. I'm gonna cook this thing up, okay? So she says she supports the LGBTQ community 100%. She believes women should have the right to choose, to terminate a pregnancy. Because you can't be saying lots of things on YouTube, okay? Different religions should be valued equally. And then she starts talking about she has all different kind of, people in her family. She has Muslim family members. We saw them at the wedding, which we did because I was wondering who that was with the very, very beautiful head coverings and everything. And I was like, who is that? But that was her. That was her black hand side. Okay, wait, I can't say her black hand side. She is fully black. Her dad is just fair. It's Devin who's mixed. So she said she got there emotionally, but aligning their lives was a lot. Girl, you ain't saying nothing but a word. I don't understand how you got there emotionally once you realize your core values didn't line up. Because I keep telling y'all, faith, family, politics, and faith, family, finances, 3 F's, and politics. Throw politics in there. If you guys are not aligned with that, baby, throw it out the door. When I say family, that goes to whether you get along with the in-laws, that goes to do you guys want kids, and that goes to parenting styles, because we don't discuss that enough. I'm gonna just mention it. I'm your auntie trying to help y'all out there. I'm trying to help y'all, okay? I am quite grown and my kids is getting up there, but I'm trying to give y'all game for free 99. So Devin says, they can be together and not align everything. Child, his voice was annoying me in this reunion. And I'm like, back in the day, I think you could have got away a little bit more with not aligning on political views, but definitely as of present, definitely in the last few years, definitely not. And like I said, those things, if you don't align on those things, God bless you, okay? So Nick is kind of saying, you knew these things before the prenup. Like, was there anything else that kind of stood out, that kind of gave, gave you a little red flag? Anything that gave you a little red flag? So I didn't ask her. Hold on. I didn't ask her anything. Did I say her name? I try not to say her name so she don't be talking to me from across the room. So Virginia says there were a lot of little signs along the way. She said he had a note in them. This is what I was talking about last time on the wedding recap. She said there was a note from his ex in his hotel room the night before the wedding, and she had been with him all day, and he never mentioned it. Now, Devin says he does not see this particular lady as his ex, and the guy that she's with now, not her husband, some people say her husband, he didn't say that. The guy she's with now was in his wedding party. So he's also kind of telling her the letter had nothing to do with, us and our previous relationship. It was about her being happy for me and happy that I found Virginia. So Virginia's saying that, she didn't know at the time that was his ex. The mom is the one that told him. Now, I get the perspective of it, but because he's kind of saying he views her as a best friend, it's just kind of need to know, it's just kind of need to know that you might bring it up. Even if you don't see her that way, we like to have all the pieces to the puzzle. Okay. We like to have all the pieces to the puzzle. It doesn't seem like that's anybody that she needed to worry about anyway, but we just like to have all the pieces to the puzzle. So Virginia says, again, she brought this up a little bit at the wedding. She ran into his mom at a basketball game like 3 or 4 days before the wedding, and she was really excited. She told her that her boss gave them $1,000 check for a wedding present, and he never brought it up. Devin's response was he planned to tell her after they were married. Like, he wasn't keeping anything from her, but when they got married, it's a present, and you get it after the wedding. So y'all can let me know how y'all feel about that response. I feel like he should have just brought it up the same way. It's just helpful to just my opinion. Knowledge of everything, just to lay everything out, so we can't say there were any secrets kept, because it shouldn't be that big that big of a deal. So she said, she got him all these nice things for his birthday and gift cards and balloons and this whole setup. And she asked him to come downstairs and help. And he was like, do I have to? And she was like, yes. She needed the help. So she's like, when he got down there, he was like, you really could have got all this. You could have carried it. So she didn't like that too much. Okay. And I get it. That was a smaller thing. But ladies, we have to pay attention to those smaller things, and fellas too, because sometimes the ladies are no good and we give signs too, but we talking about these two right here. Sometimes you got to pay attention, especially when you're going into marriage, because the small things will lead to, if you ain't doing it now, you could pretty much cancel it. So he says he wanted to make it work after, but that's not the vibe that he got from her. She said she called for about a week after the wedding, and then he stopped answering her phone calls, and he told people that he ghosted her, that she ghosted him. So Molly's like, yeah, you told, because he was like, no, that's not true. Molly's like, yeah, no, you did tell me that. And Madison's like, yeah, you told us both at the bar. And he's like, you guys came in very drunk, asking questions that were none of your business. I gave you an answer. And he says essentially that every time they talk, they argue. And at first I had in my notes, Virginia girl, why circle the block? But when I watched it for the second time, I guess she was just trying to check in with him to see how he was doing, to see how he was feeling after the whole thing. So I give her that. Would I have done it? Maybe not. You might have got one phone call or one text. We don't need to re-argue about things, rehash things. We are never, ever, ever getting back, that song, getting back together. So they did this thing where they gave us 5 unforgettable moments, very random, very not needed or accurate. Okay. They should have broken it into categories like funniest, sweetest, most whatever, but they just called them unforgettable moments. It was 5. Like I said, they weren't needed. We just time wasting, very random. And I'm going to give them to you all now because they sprinkled them out throughout the show. We're not going to sprinkle them. 5 was Jimmy and Chelsea with the, do you look like a celebrity? Megan Fox. Okay. 4 was Taylor and Garrett at the reunion, him with his new look. I don't understand why that was a moment at all. Even when I watched it the first time, I had to rewind to see if I missed something. 3 was Laura and Jeremy with the whole parking lot incident when he went off to meet, I think, what's her name? Sarah? I can't remember the girl's name that he ended up with, and they ain't out together no more. That one. Number 2 was Lauren and Cameron. Their reveal, put some respect on their name. If y'all are going to have a top 5, they definitely should have been 1, not 2. And 1 was Jessica and Jimmy with, you're going to need an EpiPen when you see me and you're going to regret it. Do we need any of that? I don't think so. Moving on along in this reunion to Sarah and Ben. A lot more to say about these two than we did with Devin and Virginia. Like I wanted more conversation with the Devin and Virginia, but Nick and Vanessa didn't seem to chime in as much. I don't want them to interrupt, but I always want them to ask the burning questions. They never do. It was like they just said what they had to say, and then we just kind of moved on from it, and I kind of felt unfulfilled, but that's just me personally. You let me know your perspective. So we're talking about Ben's views on the world and things. And he says, he knows he's privileged, and he admits that he had some things that he needed to work on. So Nick was like, was it something that you were willing to overlook, or did you think that he would grow? Speaking of Sarah, and Sarah's like, she ain't got all the answers, Sway, okay? She says she does not have all the answers, but she wanted an open discussion, but he never progressed outside the pods. Her whole thing is she just wanted to see some forward movement. He did say in the pods, like, I don't need you to teach me. Like, I got this. I'm going to do the work. He said he was going to do the work. And then I guess he was giving, I could have had a V8. So Nick is asking, did you really not remember your church's stance on LGBTQ plus? Or did you not want to acknowledge it? He said, he didn't remember because he never really needed to know. There wasn't anybody in his life that it pertained to. I said, what happened to your gay friend that you had at the meetup? Oh, those was fake friends, because some people said that those wasn't really your friends. And now you're telling us those wasn't really your friends. Because when Sarah was talking about it, she was like, I got a girlfriend. So Okay. All right. So we get into this whole, and let's double back for a second. As it pertains, I've just got on my soapbox about the 4 core tenets in a relationship, important things in a tenet. So these two, in my opinion, shouldn't have been together outside the pods. Sarah did not stand on business. Okay. She stood on business at that altar, and that was about it. She folded like a lawn chair after that. We're going to get into it. But if those are really your beliefs and you're really into, George Floyd, power to the people, LGBTQ plus rights, you just, unless you didn't want to get married, so you just was here for a good time, not a long time, and then that's different. If you just here for a good time, then maybe necessarily that person's views don't need to align. But if you're coming on this show where you're supposed to find love and find marriage, I just found it kind of strange, if you will, that you were prepared to move forward with this man and even potentially marry him when his views and your views did not align. I know. I'm probably repeating myself. So they get into this whole TikTok girl situation, and she says there were lots of comments, but she chose to trust him. And knowing what she knows now, the TikTok makes sense, baby. Okay, I want to see that little YouTube card. I should have found a picture of it to put up here for you guys. We didn't talk about that. We didn't really get in depth with the TikTok girl, even though the girl did double back and said they only went on two dates and he ghosted her, but ghosting seems to be his thing. But there were other comments apparently under that comment, and there were other women that came forward to say all kinds of crazy things about Ben. Okay. Mm-hmm. So she said after the wedding, she had hope that after the wedding, she had hope, which I thought she was on her me. Okay. When he was like, I would like to pursue he says they discussed that beforehand. So he was kind of caught off guard. And she was like, we'll see, and laugh, because I be will see in my kids, and I don't, that's a nice way of saying no. Like, let's move on from it. But it's we'll see. He said that was not the conversation he had. Okay, that's what they said out in the social media streets. That they had agreed to date or whatever. So, none of this seems like it was a surprise, because I think they said that Devin knew that Virginia was going to say no too. That's why low-key he didn't tell her about the check. But it's like, it is the experiment to get all the way to the altar and decide. But sometimes we get our panties in a bunch. Like, why did you do this to this person? Hurt this person's feelings. And it looks like a lot of times, a lot of them knew what was up anyway. So she says she had hope, which, girl, I don't know why. Another one that you're not standing on business. That she's a travel nurse and she had a contract in Nashville for 3 months. He worked remote, so they had discussed him going with her, and then they come back to Minnesota and figure it out. She said they discussed it in the pods, they discussed it out of the pods. So she said they stayed together after the wedding for a week or two, and they had a conversation about it the night before she left. They discussed him being there for 2 weeks, up to 2 months, and whether or not to bring his car. So they decided, he's not going to bring the car because, he'll just use her car. So she said she was confused. She texted him. And he sent 3 scripted texts / apologies, and she didn't hear from him for a month and a half. Now, when Miss Ma'am, I skipped a part. So she drove to Nashville. It was a 12.5-hour drive. She didn't hear from him much. But she was like, she knew he was hanging out doing other things. When she got there, she noticed he removed her from his Find My Friends. So she said she was confused. She texted him. He sent 3 scripted text apologies and didn't hear from him for a month and a half. Next time she heard from him, he reached out to her. And he had spoken to a previous cast member who advised him to reach out to her and to be on good terms with her going into the reunion. Baby Sarah felt played, as you said. Now, let's just put this here. Now, he did go, I think, Storytime where Ricky had him, his text messages kind of proving that, because he was saying, let me say this and then I'll double back to that. So Vanessa asked a couple of different times in different ways. She's asking Ben who it was, but he didn't want to answer. So Sarah said it was Jimmy, Jimmy of EpiPen and Jimmy of Chelsea Dinosaur Run, Megan on Fox. Yeah, that one. So Nick says he wants to hear Ben's side. So he said he and Sarah had a long talk before she left for Nashville, and his understanding was they broke up when she left. He wanted to make sure she got there safe, and he cut her off like he normally does after a breakup to, end things. Me, I call BS. But like I said, let's double back to the story time of Ricky thing. So he put up his text, and so now everybody is believing when he said that he thought they were broke up when he left, that was the case. Now, I read the text a little bit differently. It did seem, because the text that we saw were once she got to Nashville and he took the Find My Friends off. So that was where we were getting the conversation from. So I'm like, yeah, he thought that they were broken up, but I didn't get the vibe that she thought that they were broken up. I mean, obviously she figured it out after the Find My Friends, but it just didn't give me the vibe that she knew ahead of time. That's just me. If you guys read them and got something differently from it, by all means, let me know. But like I said, another one who spun the block, compromising values. Well, she really spun the block. Like I said, Virginia just checked in. I don't know that I would have checked in more than once, but that's just my opinion. So he says the date before he left, on their date, the date that they had before she left, he remembers coming to a certain end. So it seems like they had an argument or a disagreement of sorts. So Lauren chimes in her defense and was like, she didn't think it was that. We didn't think it was that. So he says, that she should have responded to his apology text and then they could have worked it out. Yeah. Looks like she responded before that. And after the apology, she just hit one of them with a thumbs up and moved the hell on, which I don't know what you wanted her to do, just my opinion. So she says, she felt like he was inauthentic and he love bombed her. Girl, I don't disagree, but I mean, you like this, so I love it, he showed you on multiple occasions who he was and you was okay with that. So now I just don't really have very much sympathy for Sarah. I was proud of her at the altar and that should have been it. It shouldn't have been no spinning the block. It shouldn't have been no continuing the date. But like I said, then just say you're here for, a good time, not a long time, because that's what it was given. Yeah, it was so attractive and maybe he was laying that thing down. I don't really know. We're going to move on to Monica and Joey. Another one. Look at the attire. Him and his daggone longboard. She looked good. He looked like who did it and ran. So Vanessa's saying, you left the ball in Joey's court. Do you feel like you really told Joey exactly how you were feeling? And she said, she never said, I love you, Joey. He never said, I love you, Monica, either. She said he never showed her he loved her and she shouldn't have to tell him to touch her or be near her. This one kind of made me sad. So she said watching it back on the TV was embarrassing for her not seeing he wasn't interested in her romantically. I didn't get those vibes till they got out of the pods. And even, they did give friendship vibes. I didn't really get that until they got back from Honduras. I thought that they might have even been intimate in Honduras. I have to go back and watch my own tape, child, because I don't remember. But he says that they could never they never got out the friend zone. And a large part of that was her sister because he values family. He says in the pod, she said her sister was her best friend. And he's like, okay, cool, because so are his sisters. So when he wasn't accepted, and it did seem to go downhill from that. They were on friend vibes. He was on happy, perky, Joey vibes. And once the sister thing happened, his mood was kind of like, but anyway, so Nick is asking, was it the chicken or the egg? Maybe her sister saw the lack of commitment on that level and called you out. Were you transparent with your feelings? He says he was. And Monica says it's one thing to gather information about, whether you want to have a life together. Is another thing to gather information if you like me at all. And I was like, ooh, girl, a word. Now, in reference to the sister, I do think the sister did clock his BS, but the sister also was jealous. That's one of the two things could be true. She was jealous because she wanted to get married first, and also she clocked his BS, in my opinion. So she says, she's watching the show. She's dealing with, feelings and hard conversations while he's tossing around a football. I say, and was, hey, Shayna, hey. Girl, just here trying to get to this reunion so I could finally put Love is Blind to bed, child, and I can take my behind to bed. So she said she's learned a lot in a year. She said after the cast meet, days later, he slid into someone's DMs, and she just found this out weeks ago. She doesn't care what it was he said. She said whether it was hello, goodbye, whether she said she didn't care what he said. She just found it disrespectful. I can agree. And she said if she knew then, she would have ended it. So he says, he was just checking on a couple people. One of the people he reached out to was Madison. He's like, it was good seeing you, and I like your pink hair. So Madison's like, yeah, we dated in the pods, but it was like more friend vibes, and she couldn't get there romantically. So she's like, he texted me, loving your pink hair. Wish we could have talked more. So he's like, oh, maybe that wasn't the best idea. It was not. Hold on, y'all. I need a little water break. My throat is. Woo. Sorry, y'all. So after the wedding, Monica says they were hanging out and texting all the time. She was helping him finish his apartment. She going to family functions, so they were kind of like dating, not dating, on and off. And Vanessa asked if they progressed to being physical. Monica's like, yeah, a couple times. Joey interrupts, baby. He was like, once. No, once. And then he laughed. I said, yikes. Oh, excuse me. Really, Joey? Like, dang, she's an attractive woman. Like, why you had to say it like that? Baby, he's giving Dusty like surfer vibes, and they say he like blondes. I don't even know. And again, all this damn spinning the block. I'm gonna give Virginia a pass because, like I said, I think she was really just checking in. I don't think she wanted to get back together with that man. I hope, and I hope we don't find out difference. But Sarah, Monica, oh no. So Monica says Joey said that Madison was coming on to him. So she asked Madison when she saw her a few months later. So they confronted Joey, and he said, I never said that. I was like, dang, Joey, we thought you was a good guy. You's really giving scrub vibes. So Monica says she was trying, but it wasn't reciprocated. She's ready to move on. And I said, I had a couple of questions when it came to Joey. Before we get to what them going on in social media streets, why did you propose so fast? Like, you was just here for issues and giggles. Like, you could have dated around and never moved out of the pods. You wanted TV time, bruh? I guess. So he's done interviews saying that he turned down the show twice, and then his friend said it would be fun. So he called back and hopped on. Child. Also, there was a deleted scene that we missed of his friends telling Monica that he never expressed an interest in getting married. I said, yeah, that's very telltale. But I'm glad, at least, with all of that information, she did get up there and say no, and not let, her say yes, and then him say no, or him say no first, and then that be that. So I was glad at least she was the one that went first and said no. Now, allegedly, Joey over here, because this is reality TV, allegedly is dating Sarah. Talking about spinning the block. Yeah. And then saying to Monica, shame to yourselves. Okay? Shame to yourselves. Again, it's courtesy. Do you owe her anything? Probably not. It's courtesy. Y'all just don't have no respect or no manners over here in these Love It Blind streets. So we're going to move on to these two that we spent far too much time with, Lauren and Dave. Nick says, what's wrong with you? Because that was Dave's thing in the pause. What's wrong with you? Like, why are you here? What's wrong with you? So Vanessa was like, how did your sister feel watching all of this, baby? That sister knew better. Everybody wanted to see the sister, but the sister was like, y'all not going to come at me sideways. Ain't nothing I can say, okay, to keep y'all off my neck. And she was right. So he says that the sister's biggest, he was talking about how she felt about it. Well, you don't really care. He says her biggest concern was not wanting him to be shown in the bad light. And here we are. Yes, she knows her brother. and you got shown in a bad light because you was another sucker. So Lauren says it was tough to watch for her, emotionally, she's emotional maturity wise, she was light years ahead of him, and he agrees. He knew what side his bread was buttered on, so he did a lot of letting her talk and a lot of agreeing. And he didn't really want to mix it up. He didn't really want to say nothing too crazy because you already know. So he said, so they hadn't talked much in a year till he got clarity from the situation a few weeks ago, and he sent a nice text. Because remember, this whole thing was over that guy Dan that made the fake Love is Blind poster, okay? Listen. Okay? That's the only couple you're familiar with. The rest of them, look, that's why I said I hope I got these pictures right. Because I was like, is that Lauren? I think that's Lauren. I think that's Dave. Okay, it's giving all the guys look alike. It's giving, yeah, very bland. So Dave, because the whole thing was when the Dan guy that made his whole Love is and supposedly he also had tried to audition or be on Love is Blind. I think this season that they were on. He did him a little Love is Blind poster. That was supposed to be her fudge buddy. And, that was it. But we made a mountain out of a molehill. So Dave says he's learned a lot about the guy recently. It's hard to watch. Essentially, he learned that she was telling the truth and the guy was putting 10 on 20. So Lauren thought they had a great connection in the pods, even until they got even in Honduras. But when they got back from Honduras, everything kind of went to the left. So she said she was honest with him, but he chose to believe everyone but her. Girl, he did, because he didn't like you. He did. So Vanessa asked, was it that you truly believed them over her, or did you just have one foot out? I said he had one foot out, Vanessa, but we'll hear his answer. He says no, he loved her. He put himself out there. So Nick is asking, is it possible to have a booty call one night and meet the love of your life the next day? Everybody was like, what? First of all, they was looking at him for booty call because Nick, he a little bit younger. Nick might be a little bit younger than me, but right in that same generation. So they was looking at him like, what? So everybody agreed. Yes, you can have a booty call one day, meet the love of your life the next day. It's not that serious. You was really slut shaming the lady, and there was no need for all of that. So Vanessa asked if she's the one that got away. He's like, yes, but then he don't really want to discuss how he feels. He just wants to look good. Because Lauren's like, I don't believe it. You have my number in a year. You gonna see me out in these streets, because apparently Minneapolis is very small. And you ain't said not a word. I said, please, ma'am. And she looked like she ain't circle no doggone blocks. Thank you, Lauren. Although the way he treated her, So he said, she was talking about, he wouldn't even allow me to speak to the people to clear her name or answer anything. We saw that. So he acts like, with his people like, oh, they really just didn't want to. She's like, you said that, but then you say, if I really wanted them to, they would. But then you was like, I couldn't make them. It was, a whole lot of back and forth semantics and BS. And then she's like, you wouldn't even give the sister the letter. He claims he gave the sister the letter eventually on another day, but she didn't really have no reaction to it. I said, he just be lying, in my opinion. Hold on, let me space these notes out, because I'm like, why did I bunch all these things together? Hey, Tamika. Hey. You really think they don't know what booty call means? I mean, they know what it means, but the way they look was like, ooh, who says that? Nick Lachey. That's who says it. Hit that like button, turn your notifications, subscribe to the channel. But even Lauren, baby, Lauren. So Lauren says, a lot of people are saying he's a narcissist, but she's like, he's not a narcissist. He's not manipulative. Lauren, we like you enough, girl. You ain't got to do, or you was giving me pick me vibes on the show. You ain't got to do all kissing all this man's butt. We don't really care. she's like, he just needs to heal and grow. And Nick is like, yeah, trust your instincts and not the words of others. Actually, I think, yeah, that Nick did say that because Dave got on his soapbox talking about how people from the outside can really, no, use your mind. That's why Nick was telling them that. So then they speak to Molly. That's why I had this little picture of Molly right here. Okay. Molly is over there by Dave in the blue dress. I don't really know why Molly had to be there. Molly only had about 2 things to say. You know, she was a girl's girl, but she speaks about him saying, you know, she was his number one and then denying it, just watching things back in the perspective these people got. So she feels, you know, like he could have done more to get his friends and family to meet Lauren. We discussed that in the episode where everybody met up. So Vanessa's asking her about dating. She's like, nah, I done hated men for the last year. So she's like, oh, what about women? She's like, oh, no, not right now, but I don't know, maybe. And I said, now we got Molly for all of nothing. Okay. I mean, she was part of the little triangle, but you know, she had no other connections that we know of. Let me just put it like that. We got Molly, but no Britt. Where's B Dot? We even saw B Dot on the last reunion. It was the one black face with Alex, and I forgot who the other person was. Ooh, baby, Alex did not turn out to be the person that they wanted him to be. So then I grouped these two together by who they should have ended up with. We got Meg and Mason. So we see them do their own reveal day. They had showed that to the group when they met up. You know, they had came into that little meetup holding hands. So we thought they was together. But you know, they asked what the situation is, and now they're best friends. They tried dating on and off, but it just didn't feel right. So they chose to keep the friendship. Kudos to you guys. Okay. So Madison said, you know, that they made a better match and that she's happy for them. So Nick is asking Alex, which we'll get to him in a minute, about Madison dating both of them. So I really should have put these two both on the same screen because this is Madison and Alex, and I don't think I have no whole separate thing about them. So Alex thought it was crazy to see her dating the both of them, and it's like 2 different people, 2 different sides. Like for sure it was some Jekyll and Hyde stuff. So Mason thought she was all in with him, and he wishes that he had validated Meg more. You know, he was focused on Madison. That's because Madison was coming over there talking about all them sexuals with you that she wasn't talking about with Mason. So Meg calls Madison out for calling Mason, it's too many M's, manipulative in an interview. And she's like, she finds it contradictory. And Madison's like, no, not really. She says, you know, she felt like his connection was better with her, with Meg, and she had a better connection. So she was trying to like figure all that out, have that conversation in the pods. And then he told her instead that he was committed to her. And then after he told her he was committed to her, he went on a date with Meg, and Meg came out in the ladies' lounge all beaming and smiling. So yeah, she felt like he was being on his manipulative stuff. I can totally give her that. So she's like, he was saying the same thing to both of us. Like, I verified. And she's like, you know, she's sorry that she was messy and she spoke for her. You was wrong for that, sis. And then he gonna come, and then Mason gonna come say he's not smart enough to be manipulative, sir. That's, you gonna admit that? Okay. So Mason says he felt pressured to commit. She's like, I didn't make you do anything. I said, I hate when people say foolish stuff like that. So she says he apologized, and then they going back and forth. Okay. It was a whole lot of talking and a whole lot of blah, blah, blah. My head was hurting and I couldn't take it. So Meg feels like she's the one who got screwed. So Nick is asking Alex his thoughts. He said he found Madison manipulative and she was harsh to Mason. So, and she got him. So why was she so mad? She says he was a different person on and off camera. Ooh, baby. Yes. So Alex says that's not true. So she pulled her receipts, right? She pulled her receipts, her piece of paper, her screenshots on it. What we got from the screenshots is Alex is messy. Alex likes to smile in the guy's face. The guys confide in Alex, which he said in the text, and then Alex goes tell all their business to everyone, tell their business to. So she did prove him right on that. Was it specifically him talking ish about Mason? Kind of, sort of, but not exactly what she had said, but her point was made. So Meg says Madison lied and says she broke up with Alex. Do we really care? We do not. I said this whole conversation, very much like the pods, went on for far too long, and we never spoke about Alex and his allegations. Y'all want to know about Alex's allegations? Go see Storytime with Ricky. It was some heavy stuff. He like girls that are not his age. That's what the people had said, allegedly. Too much. So we go back very quickly. It's like 2 seconds to the people of the hour, which, you know, when you're that winning couple, when you're the couple that's unproblematic and you're just happy, like kind of like Taylor and Garrett, Tiff and Britt, like those people, we don't pay that much attention to you. If you don't got no drama, that's how they do you. But listen, paid in full, like a nice boring life. I wasn't mad at it. So they said they're asking about their first Christmas because, you know, they love Christmas. So they said their first Christmas was great. It was a lot to navigate, but his mom had got diagnosed with a form of lupus. She's getting better now. She's preparing for a transplant. So, you know, that was a lot to deal with. And I was like, oh, because we really like Daniel's mom. Daniel's mom was cool. Taylor's mom was a lot, but I can understand why Taylor's mom felt that way, because I probably would have felt that way too as a mom. And they're also saying how close the families got because his dad ended up staying with Taylor's brother during the treatment because the brother worked in the hospital as admin. And also, you know, he lived close to the hospital. So I was like, oh, they just blending the families together. You love to see it. You got to get a happy couple out of this. So this is going to be a happy, unproblematic couple. Pray they stay that way. They're living in a suburb outside of, I think they said Minneapolis. They're in Minnesota, child. But they bought their first home. Congratulations, baby. So they go ahead and do a sock bin challenge. I said, baby, they just like to waste time. Y'all could have just shortened this reunion because this reunion didn't have to be this long. Y'all didn't bring out the old heads or the older people couples, and I was happy for that. I was like, ooh, cool. We're not gonna waste no time, even though I saw the time on the reunion, so I knew y'all was gonna waste time. Y'all gave us those 5 unforgettable moments, which was BS. Tighten them up, make them specific next time, and make them accurate. Because who was doing the voting? I didn't see no voting about that. I didn't vote. And then this damn sock bin. For why? We got one more thing gonna waste our time a little bit at the end. But AD is there with Ollie. She had mentioned on the other reunion that she was seeing somebody. She didn't really want to get into it. It was Mr. Ollie. I got a picture. Let me bring it up. There we go. Yes. She has a new podcast, and she is going to be like the Vile Files, okay? The Black Sister Vile Files, okay? It seems like she's Netflix approved. She's on in magazines talking about it. She getting all the guests because, you know, they don't let them go to just anybody. So I'm happy for her. I haven't really got to watch any of them. It's on my watch later list. So go over there and support the sis, AD. These two are going to be in a perfect match. And then we see a promo for Perfect Match, which is going to be in the summer, and which is really just more of the two of them. And then we see their proposal, which I put down here a little on the bottom, gave it a little razzle dazzle. And I was like, oh, congratulations, sis. We love to see it. We know what you went through with Clayton. Okay. We know what you went through with Clayton. And then even he was talking junk. Sir, just say you happy for her and move on. Okay. We don't want to have to call you no other names. And he be calling us the AD Avengers. We stand for sis. Even though she was giving pick me vibes, even though, you know, she fell and bumped her head. I'm glad she woke up and saw the light. And her and the good brother Ollie is doing a doggone thing. So they wouldn't tell whether they watched Perfect Match or not. I mean, whether they won Perfect Match or not. I'll be tuned in. I like to watch. I don't usually recap it. I did shorts last time. I don't usually recap it. I just like to watch it for the shenanigans because it's foolishness. Like, you know, these people are not going to really end up together like that. It's like a competition reality show when you're supposed to find your perfect match, child. Okay, so they're going to be on that. And I do feel, because people are like, the engagement kind of spoiled it. And I kind of feel that way too. I'm like, y'all couldn't hold on. We're in March. Y'all couldn't hold on. It's probably going to come out in June, I think is when the last one is. Couldn't hold that on your engagement a couple more months. But I guess they wanted to get people to watch the draw to watch for season 3 because they said the numbers for season 2 weren't that good. So here we are. Next season of Love is Blind is in Denver, Colorado. More dry toast for y'all. More raw bread. Okay. I'm going to watch. I'll probably recap. Hopefully y'all will watch. Maybe this will be another one like this season where I watch so you didn't have to. Or maybe, to give us a little razzle dazzle. I don't think so. But in any event, please, please, please. I think they got Boston, Atlanta, and I forgot where else are other cities that they are already slated to do. But next season is Denver. No seasons ever again. Thank you, girl. We appreciate the support because this season was rough for a lot of us. Then, baby, we get a musical performance for their 5-year anniversary by Alex Warren. Again, another thing that they could have kept. No disrespect to Sir. Song was cute enough. Y'all could have just played it on the outro, or y'all could have had him play it on the outro. We didn't have to watch it like it was a music video. Again, y'all was time wasting. Then we get a little fam jam, a little fam jam with Monica. And then we get happy anniversary for their 5 years from previous couples. So we get like Ali and AD, we get Taylor and Garrett, we get Brett and Tiffany, we get Zach and Bliss. It's a bunch of folks. Lydia and is it Milton, child? I was like, oh, these people are still together. Yes. Mama, I made it. Okay. Mama, I made it. Thank you for everybody that tuned in on this, not impromptu, but not impromptu. Some of y'all spoke, some of y'all didn't. Y'all was in and out the room in the bushes. That's fine. That's fine. Anybody coming through on the replay, leave a comment, #replay. Couple church announcements before we go here. So your girl's still not quite at 100%. I was supposed to do my watch list this Friday. It's gonna have to be for next Friday. I moved it to next Friday. My apologies, y'all. Okay. Also, Sunday's weekly huddle, we gonna skip it. Okay. Trying to get myself back to 100%. I got things to do with these kids. So that again will be 3 things on Sunday. But Saturday night, Raising Canaan. Sunday, Beauty and Black, episodes 13 through 16. And also Found is back tonight, so we should be back for Found. So I will be doing those three things, but 2, we skipping weekly huddle. We'll have a lot to talk about next Sunday, and we pushing the watch list back to next Friday. Appreciate y'all. That's why you can always check the community tab. Keep your notifications on. I appreciate y'all ever so kindly. Also, tell a friend to tell a friend. Okay. Oh, see, sometimes when you press the buttons too much, get sensitive to subscribe. I mean, I'm trying to get to 500. I still want to get to 1,000. I'm trying to get to 500 first because that's, numerically how it works. But then I would also like to get, by the date there. So help your sister out. Oh, hold on. My throat might. All right, y'all. Hopefully you can hear me because sometimes if I don't take a beat after that music gets started, it just sounds like I'm underwater. It's a bunch of Google gobble. So hopefully you guys can still hear me. Again, I appreciate you guys for coming through and checking me out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.